We need to see to it that our teachers are trained. But to have our teachers trained, the only way is to use technology. One thing we have to understand, that we are trying to teach a generation which is a technology resident, and we are a technology migrant race. Understand one thing. We are trying to teach a generation which was born with technology in their hands. And we have just come into technology, use of technology. So one very important thing that I would suggest, or I would work on, is that we should have our teachers first trained on the use of technology before we train them on any other aspect of teaching learning. Because through technology, will they be able to do their other learning? You can't keep teaching them. You can't keep training them because there's such a lot to learn. Understand one important thing. I'll give you a very, very simple example. Why teachers need to embrace technology. You see, understand, our teachers, I'm talking about all of us, we are almost the same age. Our teachers at their time, the curriculum used to change every 10 years. Today's teacher, the curriculum changes every year. Same teacher, same 24 hours, same family pressures, same different kind of work that we need to do, but the time is limited. So if our teachers, today's teacher, if they really want to do something, go to a certain level, we will have to see to it that they use technology. The other thing is that NEP 2020 talks about inclusiveness, yes, equality, yes, but it is also talking about making students learn to learn on their own. It is talking about question-based knowledge. Questioning is what teachers need, as students need to be taught. It is talking about research-based education. How do you do that? The answer is simple. Use technology and use flipped classrooms. I'm sure you must have all heard about flipped classroom, but let me give you a very, very simple example. I think Casey sir did talk about, child-centric school. Rashmi ma'am did talk about teachers being jack of all. Very true. Today's teacher has to be a jack of all. Today's teacher has to accept that she or he is no longer a sage on a stage. Today's teacher has to be a facilitator. So let me give you one simple, very important example. Suppose if I had to teach a topic, say, on volcanoes. In normal cases, in general systems, what I would do is today come down to the school, start talking about something, and then take up, say, if I want to talk about volcanoes today, what I would do is I start teaching volcanoes, and the students will listen to us. So again, that sage on the stage. But instead of this, if I do something is, if I tell my students today that tomorrow I'm going to talk about volcanoes, I'm going to teach volcanoes, and I want each one of you as students to get me 10 lines on volcanoes. What is it that the students are going to do? Straight go home, start their computers, Google out volcanoes. Unfortunately, they will not be able to find 10 lines on volcanoes. They will find 10,000 lines on volcanoes. Right? And that is where it comes, that they have to learn how to filter out, because there's a lot of information out there. Like Rashmi ma'am did talk about, that we should not give them a video, okay, see this video and I'm teaching as if it's me teaching. No. What you tell them is, get your things and ask each child to prepare 10 lines and tell them that you have to come and present it in the class. So what will happen the next day? Each of your 30-35 students will come with their 10 lines. So each child gets a chance to stand up and present. So first you teach them presentation skills, which is very, very important. Second, communication skills. They speak in front of the class. Third, they've got filtered. They've actually gone through a lot of things. So they know definitely what they're talking about. And what happens? Each of these 30-35 students, they put forward their top points, and then they bring in their 10 more common factors. So collaborative learning, peer group learning, presentation skills, communication skills, and subject knowledge. That is what comes in. And without the teacher teaching them something, they come up with their own thing. And what the teacher has to do is to see to it that they bring in the right things and support them and mentor them and be a facilitator. So that is what we need to do. Rashmi ma'am, you rightly said, we will have to be jack of all. We will have to tell them, yes, beta, I will let you know tomorrow. Nowhere is it written that a teacher should know everything. It's only in India that we expect the teacher knows everything. In the other country, the teacher can open the book and read. talk about it, make her notes and come. That is what we have to do, because everything has to be original. Let them come with their own points, and this will make classroom learning more interesting. Nobody's going to get bored, and nobody is going to be left out. We're talking about inclusive education, talking about getting everybody educated, but let's first think of the 30-35 students in a class. Are we including them? What about the backbenchers who don't say anything? So when you bring in this collaborative learning, everybody learns. If I have done some work, my co-student learns, and if he has done something, I learn more. And that is what we're talking about. So the first and the most important thing is how to use technology tools. How to use the internet for benefit is what we need to train our teachers. Rest, everything can be acquired. There are so many portals which are coming. Even the government is coming out with the portal. There's such a lot of information that the teacher will have to work at least 2 hours every day when they go back home to prepare for what she is expecting the two students to come in. Understand one thing, I made that statement that we as teachers are technology migrants, but students are technology residents. In no way will we be able to match the pace of learning of the current student, current generation. We will always have to cope up with them, and best is when we use technology. So that's something that I talk about on almost everywhere, that technology is going to be the enabler for the teachers to deliver what the students want. You can't teach them what you want. You have to teach the way they understand. Today's students want to collaborate. They play games from one country to the other country. They collaborate and they learn on their own. So that's something that I would want to put up. Now coming on to my topic, language. There's a lot of change that is being brought in. So I think we had Shruti ma'am talk about teaching in the local language. Yes, something very, very important that NEP has brought in, that during the foundation years, if we teach students in their local language, that is good, but there is something else to it. First of all, understand it is not compulsory for a school to teach in the local language. They can still continue teaching in English. But it is advisable that you teach core subjects in local language, in the mother tongue. Why? Because if the foundations of these core subjects are clear, the students will be able to perform better. They will understand better. The concepts will be clear. But at the same time, understand, you should not undermine the value of English as a language. Okay, you all know, I don't know whether it is, you all know that by the age of 8, a child can acquire up to 5 languages. NEP talks about 3 languages. Okay, we have the 3 language concept, and that is, one is the local language or the mother tongue, second is the foreign language, and third is the classical language. Let's understand why are they important. Local language, say let's take up in the northern part of the country, it's Hindi, or where I come from, I'm from Gujarat, it's Gujarati, or there's somebody in Punjab, it's Punjabi, or other languages. So when you teach them using local language, the concepts get clear. And not only that, the students will also value the local heritage. Second is the foreign language. In our case, it's going to be English. To compete in this fast, small, the world becoming small every day by day, if we need to compete, if we need to stay afloat, we need to know the language of the world, that is English. And third is the classical language. In our case right now, it is Sanskrit. This brings in nationalism. This will bring us, let us understand what is there in the Indian heritage. There's such a lot of information, such a lot of knowledge that we yet need to explore. So that is what is taken up. There's one more thing. It is said that if a child speaks 3 or more languages, the child's brain thinks better. But that's what we want. 3 languages not difficult. And for all these things, what we need to do is we can always use technology to be our friend, technology to be our support. You can acquire as many languages as you want if you use technology. We are from a technology company where we work with more than 3,000 schools, working with 1 million students on how to improve language skills. You'll be surprised to know that we've created the world's first Sanskrit teaching lab. So even classical languages, Indian languages, can be taught using technology, and that is what we work on. So language is something which is beautiful. Okay, if you bring them to them in the way that they love to acquire, they will always be able to acquire it properly. So that's an important part there. Going on to my next important point is one very important thing that I would want to put up here, which though is written specifically in NEP 2020, is that we are supposed to have our students learn how to explore. learn how to do research, and overall it has to be research based learning. But for that, students need to read, and increasingly we have found that increasingly students are reading less. Very important that we actually make reading a habit. Do have your library, and now as NEP 2020 talks about, have a digital library, have students read books, have students explore things, and that is what is going to happen. See, understand, it is not to know everything, it is to know where to find everything. And for that, reading is important, language skills are important, and so is the importance of knowing technology. So what I would want to sum my talk here is, no one can survive without technology. When we are talking about inclusive, we are talking about each and every corner of the country to be covered under the NEP 2020. It is not going to be possible unless we have technology-based education. Okay, internet can reach anywhere and everywhere if there's a will to do so, right? So what we need to do is work on technology, work on language skills, work on reading, and this is something that will take us to the next level. Make students your ardent readers so that they can actually go to the next level, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir, and thanks for making the strong assessment that we don't need to know everything. We need to find the source where we can find everything. And absolutely, we all agree with you, sir, when you say that students, today's students are the digital natives, and we are the digital migrants. We educators are the digital migrants. So we need to adapt ourselves according to those learners. So big thanks, Jaswinder sir, for making these strong assessments and sharing your thoughts. I'll be coming back to you with questions. Thank you. Now, I would request Dr. Anjali Priyadarshini ji, if we can have your ideas, your thoughts, Dr. Priyadarshini.
Yeah, again, a very good afternoon to all. And it's such a wonderful experience to be a part of this, such kind of discussion. You get to know so many aspects of this new education policy. Like it has been rightly said by Rashmi ma'am also, कि digitalization is very, very important along with the personal touch. Okay, I also believe in this. We are going on in an online mode since last 1 year. We have been making use of the presentations made by others. Okay, because everything all of a sudden we cannot make it. We are taking help of the presentations which has been made by others, but we do add a personal touch, like the during the interaction, how do we explain? But if we can make our own, but this needs time, and teachers are, as we all know, are hard pressed with time. Like they have to develop the curriculum, they have to develop the course material, they have to interact with the students, and along with various administrative duties too. You cannot you cannot say no to anything. So we are assumed to be masters of all trade, but we are also humans. So I think another one very important aspect to keep in mind in all these things is how to get maximum out of a teacher. Okay, now see, all things need assigned, but the working hours, how much time a teacher should devote to a curriculum development, how much time a teacher needs to go for research, and how much time for a teacher's own development, like faculty development program. We need to get to learn so many new things, but we also need time. So this, I think this needs to be defined and strictly followed. Okay, this is required for this limitation is for teaching hours, and this is for your own faculty development, and this is for research. Then only we can impart a better education, a holistic education to our students. So I think this is important, and again this emphasis on English. Okay, our education has laid a great importance earlier in English, but I also think that though a child or a person understands better in his or her own mother tongue, but mostly if we talk about world, Now this is the time of globalization. Everything, we are part of a global community, and English is that one language which connects us all. So we just cannot forego it. We need to impart. The person should understand. We should make him understand in in their own language. But English is also very important. And moreover, again, this we shouldn't be teaching in a silo. Okay, I'm teaching biology, somebody is teaching mathematics, somebody is teaching physics. We should communicate with each other, get on a platform, and on that platform, teachers as well as students as well as the parents, they should be present, because we also need to make the parents understand. Because in our culture, parents have a lot of say in an education of their children. So they should also understand ki what do we mean. See, if I say ki your child is good in mathematics as well as your child is good in music, now how to correlate it? The parent will say, what is that teacher saying? Like, the teacher is teaching me mathematics, music, and again he's good in photography. What will my child do? So we should make them understand also, and there is interaction. So this was my view on this education policy. This was my view on education policy, ki interdisciplinary approach, where we should all communicate with each other, be on a common platform, and bring about the holistic development of our students along with ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am. Absolutely, these are very, very useful thoughts, and absolutely, we all educators need to evolve accordingly. Big thanks, Anjali ma'am. I'll be coming back to you with questions. Thank you. And now I believe Savio has finished his coffee. So now time for the last speaker. Savio, I welcome you, and I would request if we can have your thoughts. You represent that art side of education. And music in particular.
Music in particular.
Music has received a great attention in this policy. So we all are very excited to hear your ideas and thoughts. Savio, over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, Rajulji. I would like to begin by speaking about where we started from initially. We started off as Torrens Music online, like around 10 years back from the United States. Since then, we are in over 200 public schools in the US. And I would just like to state a few comparisons, not exactly trying to compare values or anything, but only about the education setup of the United States.
Seven, your volume is a bit low. If you can be a bit more louder.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it is better now.
Is it better? Okay. I would just like to speak about from where we began. We started from the United States of America. Like 10 years back, and since then we are in over 200 plus public schools in the US. Now, why am I talking about the US is because I want to show a little importance on the kind of methodologies they use to train the children. You know, even in cash-strapped schools there, which are public schools, like I said, we are in 200 of them. We see one thing they have is a focus on the laboratories. We see that the equipment which is provided to the children is world-class. And we see that every child gets an opportunity to play a particular instrument. I'm just speaking about the music instruments right now. I'm not talking about any other thing like sciences or whatever. We see that, you know, every child gets an access to play a single instrument. And even in the best schools in the country where I have visited, I have seen that there is one child who's playing a guitar and the 5 other children waiting for this kid to finish. So unless and until we see that facilities are provided, resources are provided to the children, we would not be able to see, you know, the shift which we need, even with the new NEP. And we really need to provide a one-on-one access to facilities, and only then I feel we could see the change and value addition which we desire. And I'm speaking from the perspective of music education only. And it is high time we value the contribution of music in the well-being of humans as a whole. And streamlining of the whole idea of music in the learning curriculum means there needs to be some kind of a cohesiveness in practical and theoretical aspects of music education, and an acknowledgement of the whole concept of the different types of intelligences, which was put forth by Howard Gardner. All of us must be aware of the 9 types of intelligences which he spoke about. And I think this is where a lot of emphasis needs to be given, especially on aptitude based learning. And a great amount of research has been done in music, and there are so many studies, which show that there is over and over again. Are you able to hear me, Radulji? I think he's.
Please continue.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And a great amount of research has been done in music, and there are many studies which show that how music directly impacts the cognitive development of children, and not just in the area of education, but social, emotional, motor skills, whatever it may be. There have been multiple research aspects which have shown that uh, pregnant mothers, when they listen to classical music, it has a direct correlation between the role in brain development of the child which is in the womb. And with your permission, Rajulji, if I can just share my PPT with you, it will just take a couple of minutes. Are you able to see the PPT, Rajulji? Are you able to see the PPT?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Now it is stopped. Yes, now it is again. Okay.
Thank you. We have seen that there are rising cases of psychological issues in children between the ages of 6 and 14. Things which probably like a few years back, like 20, 25 years back, were not that evident. But right now, with research and with observations, we have seen there are cases like anxiety disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity, and suicidal tendencies, and a lot of problems which we are seeing in the children. And all these cases, are all of a sudden increasing during this lockdown, because everything is so uncertain. I am from Nagpur, and just a couple of days back, the lockdown was again declared in Nagpur. So all the schools which were opening, all the schools were prepared, and we were supposed to go ahead and start some sessions in April. Now all that has gone down the drain, and everything is so uncertain. So for educators like us, if we are in a situation of uncertainty and it is causing us some mental stress, so we could imagine what is happening to the lives of children who are so active and their lives are full of activity. Suddenly they need to be sitting down in a room in front of the computer, spending hours behind it, not getting an opportunity to meet their friends, go to school. So this is all these are stress inducers. And one Mr. Sunil Dangi from a company which is in education always speaks about how suicidal tendencies have increased in children, especially between the ages of 6 and 14. And every other day, probably in the newspapers or in the news, we can hear that there are children who are committing suicide. And to combat all this, what does music do? Music produces some happy chemicals, right? They're called serotonin and dopamine. And when you listen to music or you play a certain instrument, there's some kind of a defense mechanism which is being created in the mind of the child. So whenever the child is going through any kind of negative thoughts or some kind of a mood fluctuation, the child plays an instrument and he knows that certain happy chemicals, which is serotonin, dopamine, this produces, and then it greatly reduces the anxiety and the stress levels of the children. Yeah. And this is a slide which speaks about how we started off as an online music education company. And since then, we have taught over 2.5 lakh online subscribers across 140 countries. And since then, in India, we are in over 85 schools in across 28 cities. We started off in 2017 from Pune, from the SNBP group of institutions. These images which you see on top, these are photographs from a live class. And this is how our setup looks like. This is the drum room on top. This is the keyboard room below. And these are some images of the empty classrooms, how they are provided to us. And this is how we transform it entirely. The entire feel of the classroom, the walls, the carpeting, the instruments, everything. It gives the children a reason to look forward to coming for these music classes. And these are again some images of a live classroom. And speaking about the online support which we have, there's a lot of disturbance. I'm not actually able to hear. Are you also facing some disturbance?
No, you are audible.
Yeah, but there is a lot of noise. I think probably need to mute. Yeah, it's better right now. Yeah, thank you. So we started off as an online music education company, and so we bring best of both worlds together. We have trained instructors. Schedules can be customized and integrated depending upon the need of the schools. When a child completes the music class in the school and gets home, the child can access hundreds and thousands of videos which are online, and even the parents can access and track the progress of the child, and even the schools can. So these are some resources which we put to use during music education. This is the attendance system. On the right, you can see is the lesson marking system, and everything is digitalized, and the principals also can get an access to this on a real-time basis. And these are again some images from the system. All right. And speaking about the music curriculum, we've got 10 levels across keyboards, guitars, drums, ukulele, vocals, which is Western and Indian vocals. And these curriculums have been designed by international experts from the US. And most of them are also Grammy nominated musicians. And speaking about some innovative curriculum, what happened when the lockdown was suddenly declared and the children wanted to continue learning music? We had to come with some innovative solutions, considering the fact that children did not have music instruments at their disposal at home. So we formulated some amazing courses like beatboxing,
Sergio, I believe we have lost your audio and Sergio, you're not audible. I guess you've lost the connection. You can quickly log out and log in, Sergio, if I'm audible. Right. So, Sergio might be joining us back very soon. But I must thank all the key participants, Rashmi Goyal ma'am, Mehta sir, Shruti ma'am, Anjali ma'am, Jaswinder sir, and Sergio for sharing your wonderful ideas and thoughts on national education policy. And, with this, we come to the last part of the session, which is the question part. I'll also request all our participants, if you have any question, you can write in the chat box for our key speakers. We have already received many questions, so we are going to present these questions to all our key speakers for their perspective and comments.
Maharishi.
Right. So, but before I start, presenting these questions, I'll start sharing these questions to our key speakers. I just take a minute in explaining, what exactly School Lalaji is doing, what kind of services we are offering at School Lalaji. I'll share my screen for a minute here. Some of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions being India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are present in 42 cities, working with around 4,500 institutions. We help educational institutions in 3 ways. We help them in buying the right thing from right people at right price. We also help them in selling their old stuff, like their old buses, old generators, I just got a message during this session that there is a school who's looking for some old buses and van. So if you have you want to share that, so we can help you there as well. We also help institutions in raising money, maybe loan or fee financing, or there are some other ways. Why any educational institution, why any school, why any institution would need a service a platform like School Lalaji? You already have your old suppliers in every category, be it insurance, be it anything. You have your suppliers. You have your team is expert. You believe that you are getting good discounts. So why you need a platform like School Lalaji? Two main reasons. Number one, in our current education ecosystem, we have more than 10,000 educational suppliers. It's almost impossible, for all these school leaders like you, that you can interact with all those people. It is very difficult for both sides. It's difficult for those companies to reach out to you. It's very difficult for you to reach out to them to understand their product and services. Here we come into picture. We understand your school, your taste, your actual requirement, your budgetary limitation. We also negotiate with them. We have category experts who keep on talking to those people category wise on daily basis. We also talk to their previous clients to just certify their credibility. These are different areas where we are helping our support to educational institutions, smart classroom procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel. We are also supplying diesel to many schools in Delhi NCR. Solar plant we are installing, language labs, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM, STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that we'll save at least your 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. So that's kind of 5% additional revenue, share, revenue generation. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different schools in bus insurance in one category, that's bus insurance. Some major highlights, we did 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses we sold from one school to other. In last 1 year, uniform imported to schools. And by the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. So I'll end my talk here. I would just check if Savio had joined us back. Savio, have you joined us? Yeah. Yep. So Savio, you have to join. So I'll straight away begin that question part. I would again suggest all our participants, if you have any question, you can write in the chat box. So I would request Rashmi ma'am, if I may present the first question to you.
Yes, you may go ahead, sir.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, first question has come from Miss Akanksha Sharma. Akanksha ji is a TGT science with International Delhi Public School, Akhnoor, Jammu. Okay. The question says how this NEP bringing a change in assessment part, how teachers would evaluate students post NEP implementation.
Yes, first of all, thank you for very much for this putting this question to me. And now, Ms. Akanksha, actually assessment through NEP is through their different activities, through their participation in different activities over there. As you can say that we can call back, we can recall back that CC evaluation had been over there. That is almost in the same way. Where we'll be assessing the students' listening skill, their other social skills, their emotional skills. And in this way, whatever the presentation, whatever their participation and activities will be there, those all things will be assessed in the same manner. So definitely, as we may see that the education is divided in 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So automatically, that will not be some particular class-based assessment. That will be a continuous and comprehensive assessment of the student. So we can have it almost on the same basis.
Right. Thank you, Rashmi ma'am. I'll come back to you. Now yes. I would request Mehta sir, if I may present this question to you. Next question. Mehta sir, if we have your presence. Mehta sir, do we have your presence? I think he has lost the connection. I would request Shruti ji, if we have your presence. Shruti ma'am. guess we have lost the connection with Shruti ma'am too. तो रश्मि मैम ये क्लासरूम में सारे लोग थे और लेकिन एग्जाम टाइम पे सब लोग छोड़ के चले गए तो क्या होना चाहिए?
This is the perspective we need to change.
Right. So I would
actually you all human beings are scared of testing.
So I would request Jaswinder sir, if I may present the next question to you. Sir, this question is a very unique question, and very rarely we have received this question during our last 130 discussions. This has been asked by Samit Ganguly ji, Mr. Ganguly sir, CGT Maths with the Sapient School, Dehradun. The question is how this NEP is going to empower our learners on the financial literacy part.
See, okay, I tell you, this is it's a very good question. Let's understand one thing. There's something which is before this question. Why should everybody know about financial literacy? Let's understand that. India is not trying to become a country which gives jobs. India is trying, which gets jobs. India is trying to be a country which gives jobs. What the government says, what the Honorable Prime Minister says is, okay, you start a business of your own, an enterprise of your own, a factory of your own, so that you can give employment to others. Now, if you want thinkers, if you want doers, if you want planners, any business that you do or any venture that you come out with, you should understand the implications of finance. So now understand that anybody and everybody who wishes to have a startup, when we are talking about Startup India, or anybody who wants to get into an enterprise, they should know about finance. Now, NEP 2020 gives a chance to everybody that even if I am doing, say, medicine, I can also have financial accounting or accounts as a subject. If I'm doing engineering, if I'm doing pharmacy, if I'm doing biotechnology, anything that I do, I can have a subject which is accounts or financial literacy. So what NEP 2020 is doing now is allowing anybody and everybody to choose any subject he or she deems fit for the future of his or her own career or the enterprise that they're going to set. So that's how NEP 2020 will bring in a lot. In fact, there are a lot of organizations, a lot of IIMs, which actually take you through financial literacy. For, there are a lot of family-based businesses, right? Where somebody automatically becomes the owner of a big enterprise, even though that person has not studied that part. So why are they teaching them financial literacy? Because that is what matters the most. So in fact, if I were to redo my graduation again, I would take up my electronics and computer sciences along with a financial literacy so that I can run my enterprise better. So in this way, this NEP 2020 gives opportunities to everybody to acquire these literacy. And so that is why this is a great thing for financial literacy. That's how it will help them. If I have answered the question correctly. Right, Rashmi ma'am?
If you permit me, can I add something to this, sir? By your permission. Mr. Jaswinder Singh has really raised a very good point. And I want to add to this that a few days back, I had been in receipt of some video that was just telling the differences between the basic thoughts of the male and female. There were many questions put towards a group of the males and females. Then on general questions, males and females were on the equal ground. But when the financial questions were raised, at that time, the females were at the back foot. So why that does it happen? Actually, there is a fear about the financial matters, including चाहे वो simple bank run करना हो, bank के accounts को run करना हो. We are just so much scared when we go to the bank very first few times, and after that, we are not knowing about how we can save the money, how we can invest the money, how can we do with our accounts. So I think this financial literacy will definitely take away all those basic fears from the personality of a person. So maybe we are then more confident to deal with these things. That's true, what I feel.
Very true, ma'am.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Jaswinder sir. Thank you, Rashmi ma'am. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. Now I would request Dr. Anjali Priyadarshini ji. Anjali ma'am, if I may present next question to you.
Yeah, yes,
this
please.
is about vocational. This is about vocational education. Rashmi ma'am, Mehta sir also talked about the importance of vocational education. Shruti ma'am also talked about that. How do you see, like, do you find any challenges in implementing that vocational education part at school level?
Yeah, we do have many challenges. Like, see, in vocational, we are making them. We are in a simple term, we are imparting some kind of training, which they can use it for their jobs. Okay, like, for example, vocational training in carpentry, vocational training in photography. Like, the children, they can opt for it depending on their interest, and they can also develop this hobby as their profession. But I think this is still lacking in our education system, where we do not offer such kind of training, and very limited. Like, maybe resource might be limited in terms of infra, or in terms of the resource person who is able to teach. So we are offering the ones which is available with them. So if we can join hands together, okay, some things I might be able to offer, some things others may be able to offer. So if this flexibility would be there, our children can go and opt for that course in some other place, and their children can come to us. So I think this needs to be kept in mind while imparting or talking about this vocational training. Because, see, so many things are available, but we're not able to provide it, and because of our limitations. So how to overcome these limitations is the question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anjali ma'am. I'll come back to you. There is a question in the chat box, so I would be coming to Rashmi ma'am and Jaswinder sir later with that question. But before I invite Sebio, Sebio, we have your presence. I see that you have logged in.
Gigi, I'm sorry, the internet is giving a little trouble today.
जी, वो रश्मि मैम ने एक पेनल्टी का पॉलिसी बनाया जो लोग बीच में लॉग आउट कर रहे हैं, ना तो वो आपको अपनी सेशन करेंगे. Right, so Sebio, you represented art, education, the world of art education. You also
Yes.
talked about the infrastructure. We all talked about developing our infrastructure, and we all know the importance of these art or curricular activities, co-curricular activities.
Right.
But what are the challenges you find? For example, let's talk about music. Do you find it is feasible for all these schools to have a music lab or like music trainers in their schools?
It's a very important question, and see, in certain schools, yes, definitely, if there are facilities and there are financial allocations, then definitely it is possible to have a music lab. If not, then you can have companies like us. We can definitely come into the play here, and we can provide music solution to the school, because we come up with a lab and we provide the music lab setup and everything. So we can provide the know-how for that. Whereas if we talk about areas which are remote, then it might be a little difficult for the schools to have their setup on their own. So what can be done is we can introduce music by taking subjects which do not need to, where the child doesn't need to own a particular instrument. Like I was speaking about body percussion, home percussion, songwriting, beatboxing. That is when my internet got disconnected and I wasn't able to continue on that. So these courses can be taught to children without having to own an instrument. So here is where these solutions can be utilized, and still music could be taught to the children.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Sebio. Now I would request Rashmi ma'am, let's talk about this question in the chat box. हम लोग जितनी भी बातें कर रहे हैं महानगरों शहरों के लिए तो ठीक है, लेकिन गाँव में कहाँ जहाँ ना इंटरनेट है ना शिक्षक है, कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड लर्निंग को कैसे लागू किया जा सकता है? मुंबई जैसे शहर जहाँ विद्यालय में ना मैदान है ना इतनी कक्षाएं, वहाँ ये कैसे संभव है? तो रश्मि मैम, आपके क्या इस पे पर्सपेक्टिव है?
I think that the government has taken some time to implement this NEP. I think that is for the same perspective, that maybe as we are just involving technologically better and better, and digitalization also is getting more and more working over there. So I think by and by we grow, we will definitely find out the solutions through the internet connections also. And it's really a matter to see that now internet is not.
रश्मि मैम, इस पे मेरा इसी क्वेश्चन के ऊपर एक सप्लीमेंट्री लाइन है. कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड एजुकेशन है क्या? क्या उसके लिए हमें इंटरनेट चाहिए, या ये क्या उसके लिए क्या हमें टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए तभी हम कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड एजुकेशन को ला सकते हैं? वो क्या है कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड एजुकेशन, रश्मि मैम?
Actually, competency-based education is where we have to make our child more competent to face the challenges of the world. And technology
तो मैंडेटरी नहीं है, उसके लिए अगर टीचर्स हमारे ट्रेन है.
राजुल जी, टीचर्स को कब तक कहां तक ट्रेन करोगे? बच्चे की कॉम्पिटेंसी तो रोज बढ़ रही है. इंटरनेट तो चाहिए. सॉरी मैम,
I'll come to you, Jaswinder sir, I'll come to you. Rashmi ma'am.
Sir, actually what I have experienced as a principal, as a teacher, and all through my life, that whenever there is a problem, and if we are serious about the problem, we can find out the solution also. Sometimes proper solution, sometimes less solution. Internet का problem हमारे सामने सबसे ज़्यादा, because we are just talking every day of the digitalization of the education, technology involvement and all that. And I am really feeling it that day by day the technology is improving. So by the time we will be in a position to implement this NEP on full-fledged level, by that time definitely the situation will be more comfortable. And as you have questioned me, competency based, of course competency technology is one of the solutions nowadays for the competency enhancement, not only of the teacher but also of the learner. So on both ways, actually now this is not one-way traffic. The teacher is delivering and the student is gaining and that's all. No, this is the two-way. We are also learning from the students sometimes, from their questions, from their queries, and from their even output after our input. So this is the competency which definitely does not need any technology. But of course, in today's perspective, technology is a part, is a tool of that. But of course, we are Indians, as Mr. Jaswinder has referred to that in other countries, the people are just personalized mastery in their particular subject. But here we हम शायद दुर्गा में विश्वास रखते हैं, so अष्टभुजी teacher is required. We can handle all the things easily. But I do think that this is something which we have to regret actually. I think this is something which we have to feel proud of actually. That really we can do so many things at it, because heart of masters we are.
Right. So जसविंदर सर का कमेंट और ले लेते हैं. जसविंदर सर, इसमें एक और क्वेश्चन है जो सुनीता जी ने एक्सप्लेन भी किया कि दूसरा क्वेश्चन है मुंबई जैसे शहर में, तो वहां पे जहाँ पे ग्राउंड नहीं है, तो दोनों पे आपके क्या कमेंट्स हैं?
पहले तो मैं इसका पहले जो मैम ने जो किया उसको थोड़ा ऐड ऑन कर दूं कि competency means knowing more and more and being better at things that you are already knowing.
Yes.
The world changes, we get to know, and things become deeper and deeper day by day. So internet is one solution that with this, I mean, it is one thing with which you can find all the solutions of getting to know more. If a child is in the rural India, if he is not getting exposure to the right kind of teachers, he has internet as a teacher. Okay, today you are sitting in a different state, I am sitting in a different state, Rashmi ma'am is sitting in a different state, and so is Dr. Anjali. But we are all meeting. This is also internet. ऐसा नहीं है कि बच्चे को उसी सिटी में बंदा चाहिए जिससे बात करना है. We in fact are spending more and quality time using internet, getting out of that. So it is collaboration which will bring in a lot of competencies, right? A lot of things are understood by discussion and not by just by reading or just by seeing. So that is how this helps into that. So definitely technology will help bring in better competency. One. Second question जो है, मुंबई जैसे cities में कहाँ करेंगे जहाँ पर schools ऐसे नहीं होते, ऐसे होते हैं. True, they don't have space. You can't afford to have them. But you can use your basements. You can use your terraces. You can use your ground floors, right? You can use mechanical things to do. Like suppose cricket सिखाना है, ठीक है? तो आप छोटे उनके pitches आते हैं जो automated balls के through होता है. Automated balls के through आप machines के through तुम tennis खेल सकते हो. ये सारा कुछ हो सकता है. But ideally, if we are making a proper city, if a city is being planned, there are areas which are used for vocation, for such kind of this thing. So what we need to do is we need to actually get onto this kind of stuff where the students are able to go on a particular day to a ground which is common, because each area has a ground. They can use that. In fact, the school where I studied did not have a ground. Once in a week, we used to go there and we used to have 2 or 3 hours there. So that is possible, because you can't say कि जगह नहीं है तो बच्चे खेलेंगे नहीं. खेलना तो है, करना तो है. So सुनीता जी का जो point है, just a minute. सुनीता जी का जो point है कि बॉम्बे जैसी सिटी में क्या होगा, they have to try to do a lot of things within the school premises, but always at least once a week the students should be taken into the open air. They should be able to make, we should ask them to run, we should ask them to play. Those things are important. So this is something that you have to work on. Schools should not be there without access to a ground. So that's something that you have to work on.
Right. Thank you.
Sir, if I can add something to it.
Please,
Actually, infra is a very important part in all these aspects. So we are managing by making it a dynamic classroom in terms of lab as well as the classroom where we're teaching to maximize its use. So same things can be practiced as elsewhere also. Where if like Sunita ma'am, she was mentioning the timetable, it can be adjusted. Like if one class is having a playtime from 10 to 2, then another class can have from 2 to 4. So like this dynamicity is required. Thank you.
Very true, ma'am Anjali. You are very true. Dynamicity is very much required, and particularly the thing is there that we are having so many hampers. Of course, challenges are there, but we cannot sit with the challenges. We have to find out the solution, and everybody can find out the solution in its own perspective, in its own area. Just the thing is there that we are not standing on the side of the problem. We are standing on the side of the solution. That's there.
Right. Thank you, Anjali ma'am, Jaswinder sir, Rashmi ma'am. And with this, we come to the end of this very, very special session. But before we end the session, I would request all our key speakers if we can have your concluding remark. And we have also established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if you can also suggest one thought or one idea that you would like to implement if you get a chance to become Minister of Education of our country. So what would be your priority? Let's say you become the Minister of Education for one day. तो आप क्या करेंगे उस एक दिन में, क्या आप करने का प्रयास आप करेंगे? So I'll request Savio John. Savio, if we can have your concluding remark first. Savio, do we have your presence? So I would request Dr. Anjali, Anjali ma'am, if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Okay, if I become an education of minister, I will definitely want the development of the teaching fraternity. Like this should be very well documented, or policy should be made. Ki how much time a teacher is required to teach and to develop teacher's own skill. Okay, it's like we are working for 7 to 8 hours, and in 7 to 8 hours we are asked to do everything in that 7 to 8 hours, but no division is there. Okay, this time is required for teaching, this is for faculty development, this is for research. So this division is very much required, and it should be followed strictly.
Right. Thank you, Anjali ma'am, for that. Big thanks. And now I would request Jaswinder sir, sir, if I may ask you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Okay, concluding remark would be great policy, but we need to take small baby steps and implement this in piecemeal. We should not think of just trying to implement everything at a time. We'll fall flat. So what we need to do is we need to take it piecemeal and implement it, is what I would say onto that. Okay. So and I myself, since I've been in the industry for more than 30 years, I have seen a lot of changes in the last 30 years in education, but this seems to be a drastic, a huge, solid change that we're looking at. So we all need to have our positive minds and take a go. We should jump into the water. Things we will be able to find out solutions and reasons. That is always going to happen. So I don't think any of us from the education industry should ever worry about what the end result would be. Jo bhi hoga, sahi hoga, because the intent is right. first thing. Second, coming on to when we talk about if I were to be the education minister, I have shared this time and again, and I would share it again. You see, for this policy to be successful, no amount of policy making or infrastructure is going to be useful unless our teachers are trained, or our teachers, we get the right kind of people join the teaching fraternity. You see, abhi jo hai ke if we are getting people, this can't be a leftover choice. It should be a career of choice. Somebody should feel like being a teacher, should be passionate about being teacher, should love teaching, right? So in this, what they've got is that this 4-year integrated BA program is a very good step, because people who want to become teachers will get into that, right? So right from the very beginning, they have that thing in mind that I want to be a teacher and I'm going to do this. That's one thing. But this alone is not going to help. We need to pay them good, and we need to get them the right kind of respect, which is missing. I think one of the speakers earlier had pointed out this. हम हमारे गुरुओं के पैर छूते थे, अब तो माँ बाप आके बोलते हैं ये बच्चा आपके बारे में ये बोल रहा है, right? So that respect for teachers is something very, very important. So if I were to be the Minister of Education, I would make teachers as the first-class citizens of the country. Salute to them. They have to do that. Second thing, I would want to share a recent event. In one of the Scandinavian countries, the engineers and the doctors, where they are paid less than teachers, went and approached the city mayor. And they said, why are we not paid as much as the teachers? You know what the answer was? The answer was very simple. They were said, because you are common people. And teachers are not common people. They are the people who create you. They are your creators. So you cannot ever compete or compare yourself to teachers. So that's something that we all need to understand, that teachers need to be given to that, because see, they have their entire life working onto this. They don't build enterprises which are going to pay for their retirement, right? So we need to pay them well, and we need to get the right kind of respect so that we get the right kind of people to join this fraternity. Now, what I have done is I'm actually on a mission, and Rashmi ma'am and Dr. Anjali, I would request if you could also make this as a part of your mission. I'm going to share a small screen. Just a minute. I'm going to share something, and I would want to have your inputs. I would want to have your support into this. Okay, see, we as a company, we are an education company. We work with languages. We work with so many people in this thing. But I would want to bring in something. We need to recognize all our educationists. You know that all doctors write a DR as a prefix. Chartered accountants write a CA as a prefix. And engineers write an ER as a prefix. Why can't we write an ED as a prefix? Let's all get onto that. Let the world know that we are educationists. Thank you, ma'am. Let the world know that we are educationists. Let us be known by this, so that if we are also doing anything wrong, we dare not do that, because we are expected, we are respected. So if you could all put that as a part of your name, ma'am, if you could have your teachers write ED before them, it would be wonderful. One more thing, I've taken the liberty of writing it this way. Imagine if we write this, how good would we feel? People would recognize us कि ये मेरे teacher हैं, इन्होंने मेरे देश का भविष्य गढ़ा है. So that's what I would request all of you to do. I am trying to spread this across in as many forums as I go, wherever I make my presentations and wherever I talk, because I do conduct a lot of presentations or workshops on language teaching in schools. Everywhere I'm going to say that you as teachers need to be respected. Don't wait the government to give you this medal. Get it yourself and do it onto that. So with this, I would want to conclude my thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir, for this wonderful mission, and you have our support and best wishes. Thank you, sir. And with this, we would request Rashmi Goyal ma'am, if we can, end the session with your concluding remark. And what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Anjul. Actually, I'm just getting the privilege of beginning and the ending of the session, because I was a beginner and I am the ending person also. So thank you very much for this by chance opportunity. And first of all, Mr. Jaswinder Singh, I really congratulate you for this. I really appreciate this mission you have taken up as taking the ED. But I think if it should get some recognition also on the World Forum, or means it should get some, as doctor has got, SCA has got in the same way, this ED word also should be over there. So if you can do something like that also, I would definitely appreciate
Ma'am,
this.
I'm planning to bring it to change.org. I'm trying to get through that, but I will need a lot of support from
Of course,
principals and edu leaders like you.
We deny to be get recognized.
Yes, that is. So I'm putting it on change.org, ma'am.
Yeah.
Jaswinder sir is from Ahmedabad and he is very closely worked with Modi ji. So अगर ये कुछ कह रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब कुछ change आने वाला है.
एक दिन तो मैं मिलूंगा उनको.
That's all for the yes, Mr. Ranjul, as you have asked me what changes I would bring as the education minister, I really share my idea, and I really feeling it nice that I share the idea of Mr. Jaswinder Singh, that always I also have felt it, that only the passionate people should be joined with the teaching profession. Teaching should be their first choice, not the last choice. And for that, I would really see that we should create some such environment and such parameters also, which should be over there before accepting anybody as a teacher over there. For that, I know we have to make this profession as lucrative also, as it is for the engineers or CAs. So many things are to be done in this field. As you have mentioned that you are the creators. So whenever I have to talk to my teachers, I always tell that you share your glory with the God. He is the creator and you are the creator on the earth. So just feel that glory and realize it and just be like that. So these creators must be those who are coming with a passion, those who are coming with the first choice in the education field. I also would like to make it sure. Thank you, Mr. Ranjul, for such a wonderful session. And really, it was very nice to join this International Education Circle. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi ma'am. Big thanks to all the speakers, KCS Mehta sir, Shruti ma'am, Rashmi ma'am, Jaswinder sir, Anjali ma'am, Sevio sir, for joining and making this 134 session truly special. I also thank all other participants for being with us for the entire session. You made the session truly special. Big thanks to all of you. We'll end the session here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
The recording of the session app will be uploaded on the given link there in the chat box by today evening. So big thanks all of you.
Thank you, sir.